Where has our government, currently the Biden administration, come up short in addressing the discourse power of the CCP? I believe the administration should not decide what is true. That's for the American people to decide. But how do we use the tools that we have? I mean, the Global Engagement Center at Department of State, the U.S. Agency for Global Media, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency at DHS, or something else. How do we use those tools while still respecting the First Amendment and freedom of speech in the United States? We saw, I remind you of the disaster of the Disinformation Governance Board that was tried by this administration that was shut down after just a few short weeks due to public outcry. So it's a fine line. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we address this.
Okay, so that's a very good question. Somebody said a nation is not conquered until it destroys itself. We have this culture right now, which is pretty pernicious in my view, of self-denunciation. We look at our inadequacies as if this is systemic, this is really rooted in our fundamentals. That's not the case. The Chinese people know this. The most powerful person in China is not Xi Jinping, is the visa officer in the US consulate. Everyone wants to come to the United States. In this country is a shining beacon of freedom. Each year, US granted 270,000 asylees freedom. The next biggest one, we're the biggest one, next one is Germany, is 1/10 of that number. So people know, they vote with their feet. So we have no reason to doubt ourselves, the fundamentals. Our country is not perfect. There's a lot of inadequacies, but we constantly improve ourselves. So I think that, first of all, we should have our self-confidence in ourselves. That's number one, to start with. And the Chinese government takes advantage of that democratic discourse. And they always take one side of the discourse to maximize it as if this is basically 100% of opinion. The United States is always a 50-50. So, for example, the Chinese government spokesperson always take advantage of the tragic death of George Floyd, for example, to constantly talk about the Americans' systemic racism, while the government itself is conducting genocide against their own minorities. Hundreds of millions of people were not free to even make comments on those kind of things. So that's why you see the narrative is right. In the old days, we have a government information agency called the USIA. It centralized our effort to not propaganda. It's just to basically to spread the ideas of American democracy. People would listen. So I think we should really enhance our broadcasting service and our government information service. Just don't be shy about ourselves. That's what